how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Near Dark. This is from 1987 and is directed by Kathryn Bigelow. We had previously seen one of her movies when we talked about Strange Days on this channel. I believe that was around New Year's Eve. Really good film, definitely go check it out. Anyway, this movie stars Adrian Pasdar and Jenny Wright, but we also get Bill Paxton in here. He's really great. Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw 2. We also have Lance Henriksen, Bishop from Aliens. And if you point out, hey, wasn't Bill Paxton also in Aliens? Well, we also have Vasquez in here as well, Jenette Goldstein. And yeah, a bit of an Aliens reunion. If you guys know Kathryn Bigelow, shortly after this movie would go on to marry James Cameron. So yeah, they were definitely sharing contacts. But anyway, this movie, initially when it first came out, hit a bit of a distribution snafu. The distributor actually went under right before this movie came out. It had a super limited release, and in turn, it didn't get too many people watching it. But over time, it has definitely developed a cult classic status, and there is some real diehard fans of this movie, and I can totally see why. It is a good vampire classic, but it also does genre mixing very well. A vampire movie crossed with a western, crossed with a romance movie. And I do want to specify, since we're talking about vampires, this is romance, not eroticism. A lot of other vampire movies go into eroticism. This is a true blue romance. But the thing with this one, a ton of atmosphere because of that genre mixing. You get those quiet and romantic southern nights crossed with the night-dwelling vampires who are more than happy to run amok and tear this all down. There's some truly beautiful shots, but also, in addition to just looking good, there's a ton of ideas in this movie. You know, what would happen if I became a vampire? My family would freak out, wondering where I went. Would I be able to drain someone of their blood? I don't know if I could do that. And of course, discovering my new powers. That's all there, but there's also a good metaphor for growing up in here. You know, you want to leave the house, you know, you found someone you love and you want to set out on your new life, but then you get vampirism as a metaphor for a world that's collapsing around you. And I do love how they portray vampires in here as something that's been around forever, like a permanent institution, but daylight can destroy them, and they're constantly on the move, constantly running from place to place, and you get the sense that even though they've been here for forever, their whole life and attitude is a house of cards that could collapse at any moment. And what does this say? That they're a metaphor for the adult world, an institution that's been here for forever but could collapse at any moment. That is scary. But also, I do want to say, like, the first time we see them, they are in an RV, and they are a wild and cool group of characters, you know, Lance Henriksen and Vasquez being like the older ones that are in charge, Bill Paxton being the wild card, and you even get Homer, who's a little kid, but has actually been around for decades and is tired of his situation, which will lead to some creepy moments with this dichotomy. But an RV wandering around full of wacky, crazy, evil killers, I can't help but think that this has to be the inspiration for The True Knot from Stephen King's novel Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. A fun book and a cool Mike Flanagan movie, so check it out if you haven't. But overall, I do want to say, this movie came out really well. Great mixing of genre, great atmosphere, great ideas behind it, and I think it's one of the best 80s vampire movies. If you guys like things like Lost Boys and Fright Night, why not turn that double feature into a triple feature and put Near Dark in that pile as well? It's definitely a really cool one. But anyway, in order to analyze it further, let's dive into the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers. I want to break down and analyze a few things, but I'll be avoiding the end bits, so no major spoilers. But let's dive in a little deeper. Anyway, I really do love this movie's opening shot. A close-up of a mosquito landing on a cowboy's hand and he squishes it. It's a cool shot that really does set the tone for the movie. And then we get this cowboy character and his friends. They're joking, they're messing around on this southern night when he sees a beautiful woman and says, "You all stay here, I'm going to go talk to her." And I do want to say, like, we barely see his friends in the movie, but this quick little bit with them really does set up who he is as a character and what his normal life is like. And props for getting that all done really quick. But we get to see that the two are kind of clicking, but he is kind of rushing into this whirlwind romance, only knowing her for one night, and trying to make it into something more solid. And she is being a little strange and distant. Now, we as an audience know that a lot of what she says is clues to her being a vampire, but obviously he has no idea, and it also, again, you know, when you just meet someone, you don't necessarily know who they are or what they're about, and it can be kind of strange. And maybe they're a vampire. But she eventually will say, "Oh no, I think it's almost dawn. You have to get me home before the sun rises." And he thinks she's just, you know, worried about her father catching her being out or something. And he decides to playfully say, "Oh, I'll drive you home if you give me a kiss first." But what he doesn't know is that she is a vampire and she's been trying to hold herself back all night, and he's going to wind up getting bit for this. And this does lead to a scene after she runs off to seek safety. It leads to this scene where he turns, because apparently you turn really quick if you don't get drained of blood and die. And he turns, and he's wandering through a field disoriented, and the sunlight makes smoke come out from under his jacket. And this visual of a cowboy wandering through a field with smoke coming out of him is a very beautiful visual of this movie. It's really classic and iconic. But anyway, he gets picked up in this RV from the vampire gang, and we get to see Lance Henriksen and all of his vampire crew, and they're about to kill him thinking he's just a witness, when the girl will step in and say, "Hey, don't kill him, I think he's turned." And Lance Henriksen says, "You get 1 week. If you can hang with us by the end of the week, we'll keep you on. Otherwise, we're gonna have to kill you." And that's where we get to see them in their lifestyle. Because they have to kill someone every single night, they're constantly on the run, constantly changing vehicles, constantly burning things down. And we do get a really fun sequence in the bar that gives Bill Paxton a great opportunity to shine, but we really get to see just what crazy random havoc these vampires unleash upon the world every single night, and then it's time to get a move on. We have RVs with most of the windows blacked out, but they can't use that forever, and they gotta go, they gotta move, they gotta find somewhere different, and it is just constantly changing, constantly shaking things up, constantly on the hunt, and you really get to see how their life is so fragile, so hectic, and just how much they have to keep moving in order to keep it up. It's really cool, but of course, can he hang with them? He really doesn't want to kill people, but he's been drinking blood from the girl he likes. Basically, she'll drink it, and then he'll drink it from her arm, and because of that, she says, "I can't physically keep this up. I can't keep doing this forever. If you can't stand on your own, you're going to starve." And it's a really good idea, a really good, you know, terrible situation for him to be in. And like I said, it all plays out really well. I do love these southern nights crossed with vampire chaos and this terrible uncertainty and place that this character has to be in. Obviously, most of us won't become vampires, but we will face strange and uncertain times as we grow up. And I really think that that's what this movie captures super well. It's a cult classic for a reason. It has a good following for a reason. If you haven't seen it, add it to your 80s vampire movie pile. It's definitely worth it. Anyway though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my vampires playlist. If you want to see me talk about other vampire movies, you should be able to find them there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.